Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Now this one is going to be one of those slightly different ones that will be dealing with what I consider to be educational content that some will consider to be slightly political, as it does focus on political figures. If that is not your cup of tea and you have no desire of being inundated with what some deem to be drama, I'm sorry. Perhaps the next upload will certainly be more lighthearted. For those of you who have clicked on this to hear my take on this issue in a somewhat one-shot manner, at least I'm going to try to keep it so with some light editing, welcome to the surprising glue that is currently unifying the American people. And who could have thought that said glue would have been the client list of a 2-time dropout NYU student who went to become a math teacher at the prestigious Dalton School, and later an informant for the most powerful people on the planet, a sex pest, and of course a human trafficker. What a resume. We're of course going to be talking about Jeffrey Epstein today. Now look, it should be stated that warnings had been made for the last couple of years or so on how it was that the Republican plan detailed in Project 2025 was to purposely overwhelm the American people with so much bad news that the average person just gave up. And for most rational people, that just meant that you, as an individual, should acknowledge that you can't necessarily keep up with everything, or in the least give it as much energy as you might want, and thus you will have to focus on ways that you could protect yourself or your loved ones. Unfortunately, a lot of people take a different path with this and declare that every new scandal and administrative overreach is a distraction. A strategy that has proven to work time and time again, as generating outrage for something that doesn't matter seemed to work pretty damn well as a smokescreen for actual systematic issue that affects the average person regardless of political alignment. Like, you might know the saying, remember, you are not immune to propaganda. However, not all propaganda is equally as effective. When I, as a foreigner to American affairs, try to apply this on the US specifically, because I could have done this for many other countries, but on the current world stage, it is a blatant example, one could be tempted to think that the coverage of the many things such as the tariffs, the failing education, the healthcare system, and anti-vax propaganda, and of course who could forget Grok morphing from supposed woke to Mecha Hitler and now into a Gooner AI, that one, some of these things aren't as bad as they should be, and two, they are only talking about these things to divert your attention from something that is really bad. And well, I'll say that it's not the case. It's all bad. Yes, even the AI gooning Misa Amane bot. This is all stuff that they really want to do. And perhaps most importantly, they do not give a shit if you are paying attention or not. They are now currently saying the quiet part out loud. It is bad enough to see that kind of nonsense on social media, but it's now something that is appearing in mainstream sources, like this stupid piece that I saw on Mother Jones recently, stating, "Stop taking the Epstein bait, Dems. The Democrats don't need conspiracy theories. There are more than enough real Trump scandals." Now, why am I showing you this? Well, it is because I think it's important to understand that politics is not black and white. If you try to measure yourself on the political compass, you will see how skewed that is. And a lot of the issues that people face are systematic, and some of your representatives will go to lengths to uphold the status quo, and that regardless of their political alignments. You've likely heard the Orange Man blasting his own base recently, the very people who supported him as he ran on exposing the Epstein Files, something that followed previous conspiracies and arose from the burn crust of then Pizzagate. He is currently attacking people who are rightfully asking about that stuff. And beside the likes of the tariff and, surprisingly enough, immigration politics, this is the very first time that I've seen Trump voters, and even MAGA, try to hold him accountable. And to me, beside the just outright disrespectful demeanor of treating your base as if they were dumb, this is also a lesson in accountability. So I'm not dismissing anything because it contradicts my political beliefs or desire. I am being upfront here. A lot of you will know that I am very much left-leaning, and I have to say these things because I occasionally do get comments on non-political videos on why it is that I'm watching progressive creators. I am entirely capable of removing my political views from whatever it is that I do. And so should you, especially when we're dealing with subjects that should not be considered to be political at all. See, after Jeffrey did the TF2 spy backflip, YouTube, don't, it's just a joke, people suspected that he was actually murdered, and even after the investigation found no evidence, a common joke became that he didn't do it himself.
Remember, Epstein didn't kill himself.
Okay, got it. Very clever.
And I get why. This is, after all, the most famous sexual predator of our time, who spent a lot of time cozying up to wealthy and influential people, and without a doubt trafficked underage girls to some of them. Yet he first got a sweetheart deal in Florida, and even now the only person who has actually suffered any consequences is the very woman who was involved with his work, whom, to be clear, absolutely deserves the punishment. But there is no question that there are powerful men, and likely also women out there, who breathed a little easier once Epstein was dead. So when the administration is now finally being forced to release the thing they promised, and they release an edited video with a minute missing.
Basically, they pulled the metadata and showed that the footage appears to be assembled from at least 2 source clips, saved multiple times, exported, and then uploaded to the DOJ's website, where it was presented as raw footage, which technically it is not.
That's where we get into conspiratorial territory of what may or may not have been doctored. However, the conspiracy that Donald J. Trump hiding evidence that he is implicated in the Epstein Files, that is not a conspiracy. I'm sorry, that's just a rational conclusion to come to based upon all of the currently known evidence, and evidence that deal with an absolute monstrous individual. This man was connected to just about everyone and everything, from his academic pursuit, dropping out of the aforementioned Cooper Union and NYU, and his unconventional hiring as a math teacher at the prestigious Dalton School, whose headmaster, by the way, was Donald Barr, who was the father of William Barr, who later was the US Attorney General when Epstein died in custody. A man with seemingly no experience, at least not on record, transitioned into finance, getting a job at Bear Stearns, where he quickly rose to the ranks despite again lacking experience. He had a track record of securing highly desirable positions, and he was paid extraordinarily well by billionaires like Leon Block, which of course suggests that he had a unique appeal to powerful individuals. And such individuals were found in his entourage, his friendships, close decade-long friendships with the likes of Lex Wexner, the founder of Limited. If you do not know the parent company that I'm talking about here, think Abercrombie & Fitch, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works. I hope you get the picture already. Despite Epstein's role as Wexner's financial manager and trustee, Wexner continued denying knowledge of Epstein's criminal behavior, despite multiple warnings from employees and what have you. And even after Epstein's alleged misuse of Wexner's name and resources. Like, there are so much document, actual proof showing that this man assaulted women while in the proximity of Wexner, on his property even, with women reaching out to the authorities and with little ever being done. There are investigations that reveal that Epstein's wealth was acquired by more than just his connection to the elite. There is his roles as a consultant and wingman in Stephen Hoffenberger's $475 million tower financial Ponzi scheme. That was a crazy thing that was going on between the 80s and 90s, where despite being described as the mastermind to the entire thing by Hoffenberg, of course, Epstein was never charged in the case, barely implicated. By the way, if Stephen Hoffenberg's Ponzi scheme does not ring a bell, is totally fine. What might be interesting for you though is his connections to a weapons dealer called Douglas Leese, who allegedly dealt weapons between the British government and Saudi Arabia. A little fun connection that sheds more light to a raid that was conducted on Jeffrey's home, where they were found weird passport with fake identity and records of his travels to the Middle East, as at the time Jeffrey Epstein had a client going by the name Adnan Khashoggi, who... No, we're not diving into the Iran contract scandal. That's a lot of shit. But at least to say, he had a lot of connections, and these connections to powerful figure will only continue to grow, and so would his reach. Like his one visit to the Clinton White House and attendance at an exclusive fundraiser, even after his alleged involvement in that Ponzi scheme that affected a lot of people. Clinton, who, despite the investigation not having found a single case of his sexual misconduct, well, at least with regards to Epstein, and maybe or not having any evidence or knowledge to the sexual misconduct of Epstein, flew on Epstein's private jet many more times than he dared to admit. He clearly praised the man on many occasions, had events with him in his NGO, and even after he left the White House went on a freaking tour with him to, of course, spread democracy and prevent HIV/AIDS, you know, with the sex pest. And like, I'm not a rich person, nor will I ever reach the point of being a government official, but at least I try to be a good parent. And if I ever heard that a certain person in my entourage was involved in some very weird things, I will not have them attending my daughter's wedding, like how Ghislaine Maxwell did. She even took her on vacation whilst Jeffrey was in jail. And I'm talking about all of these things without even coming close to talking about the people who he actually hurt. The vulnerable girls that he preyed upon in Palm Beach, the systematic abuse, and the victims' reluctance to actually come forward due to Epstein's power and connections. It's so bad that there were instances where the media outlets like Vanity Fair and ABC News allegedly suppressed stories about Epstein's abuse, hindering early public awareness. Like the one in 2019 where Amy Robach expressed her disdain for ABC as they suppressed an interview that she had conducted with an Epstein victim by the name of Virginia Joffrey, years before Epstein was ever arrested on federal charges.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Another magnificent example of bad media coverage that luckily backfired in the end due to the sheer pomposity of the man was, of course, Prince Andrew, who, according to Virginia, had been introduced to her and had intercourse with her on 3 different occasions in New York, London, and Little St. James, that famous disgusting island. Somehow these claims or even evidence of Maxwell and Andrew ever being with the girls never made it to the defamation case he was involved with before 2019. And the royal family, of course, were adamant at suppressing whatever he was involved with. Until, of course, Mr. Sweaty made the beautiful choice to have the interview.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
unbecoming. He was a sex offender. But you were staying at the house of
Yes.
a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
Needless to say, the man was everywhere, and the way that he gave young girls who, I cannot stress enough, cannot consent, and that regardless of whether or not they were under substance abuse or their social standing, was so gross. Like, for example, with the known French creep Jean-Luc Burnel, who... He's a special one. If hell actually exists, there is a front row seat to the man, for whom Epstein procured underage girls. Brunel was bragging about them, and the man was just gross, and luckily he died. But he did so in 2022, and also did the backflip, surprisingly enough, while awaiting trial. There's connection to the criminal defense attorney Alan Dershowitz, who, a known monster who has been involved with Epstein, O.J. fucking Simpson, you name them, and of course the Trumpador, whose popularity with young women
automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even know it. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the...
would lead him to make many positive remarks about Epstein. They shared social circles. Epstein bragged that he introduced Melania to Trump. And Trump had awareness of Epstein's proclivities, but he did not care. And there are enough accounts of just the sheer degenerosity that the two of them participated in. So like when people like Mark Epstein, actually Jeffrey's own brother, will make statements like, if I said what I know about both candidates, they'll have to cancel the election. This was with regards to the 2016 election between Hillary and Trump. People took it as Hillary is in the Epstein Files, somehow disregarding the other guy, which is just straight up hypocrisy. Because as it turns out, the man who did not seem to care about his involvement with Epstein and even praised him and wished a convicted sex offender's co-conspirator well, had a lot more to hide. And all of this resurfacing because he lied about it. So all of this preamble to kind of explain to you who Jeffrey Epstein is, what his connections was, and why it is such an important thing that these files are released. Nobody is asking to see footage of how the actual victims were victimized by the government on both sides of the political aisle, but especially now because it is the administration, the sitting administration, who is fumbling this bag and are lying to even their own base and making shit up, should be facing some degree of accountability. And thus, to kind of get us to more closer to-date events, I wanted to watch with you some of Coffizali's content, who has more on the matter.
This is a montage of the changing stories on Jeffrey Epstein. Enjoy.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein.
That island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of...
I'm so sorry for laughing, but like, these two were huge and still are conspiracy theory peddlers. And the flip on this has been quite interesting to witness.
That list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide.
You know, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is like, I'm absolutely sure of that.
There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing.
I am continuously baffled at the people who are being brought into this administration and how just the sheer degree of incompetence. It is so surprising. Like, this would be the equivalent of me, were I to be in this guy's position, to be contracted by PET, which is our intelligence service here in Denmark, and them going like, bro, con meus y describemos director. Like, why? How the hell? Why do I need to take that position just because I'm making videos online?
You should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff.
Oh, this is surprising. Originally, the part where he says, yeah, and she goes, all right, is where the video was caught. I saw that last year during the election. That was actually played on Danish television. So, okay. Well, thanks for the full clip.
With that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird situation, and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera.
I want to talk to you about the Epstein case. I have worked on this for years, trying to get those records of who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking.
I want to note that Marsha Blackburn might have changed in the last decade or so, but she is famous for being one of those who just get so very triggered by hearing just a single word. There's this famous clip of her hearing the word border and immediately assuming that those who talk about the American border, whereas the gentleman was talking about, it was during the Ebola crisis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Frieden, I want to be sure I heard you right. You just said to Chairman Upton that we cannot have flight restrictions because of a porous border. So do we need to worry about having an unsecure southern and northern border? Is that a big part of this problem?
I was referring to the border of the three countries in Africa.
You're referring
Liberia,
to that border, not our porous
Guinea,
border.
and Sierra Leone.
And he was talking about like the borders to Sierra Leone. So it's like she immediately like jumped to the fact that no, our border.
Absolutely, Senator. Child trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
Release the list. Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be
I haven't heard
releasing
from
the
JD
list of
Vance.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, and by the way, that is Vance's real face. It's nice to get a little bit of confirmation after all the memes.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
A lot of people are wondering, because you said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk, is when can we see them and what's taking so long to release them?
Any day now.
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. 200. So we have, well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah, what you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information. But
the client list.
It's pretty sick what that man did.
Okay, well, we'll
along
look for
with his
that.
co-defendant.
Absolutely, and he had help. That's for
He
sure.
sure did.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable.
With the number of victims being raised to like 1,000 recently, right?
Flight logs tied to accused
trafficker Jeffrey Epstein have been released to some conservative political commentators. They walked out of the White House holding binders labeled the Epstein Files.
There was an expectation that this was going to be bigger. You had the same expectation.
We all did. And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept, Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m., thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Cash is also, now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course. And, you know, we're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein.
Now, is that...
It's so funny her dropping Kash Patel as like, you know, for confirmation there. With Cash, things are gonna be so much better. Lo and behold, a few days later.
If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If you have
access.
access.
I have it. Period.
Right.
If I have it. If I have it.
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
So far.
Everything we have so far is...
Have you guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
Did Jeffrey Epstein himself, or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
I beg your pardon.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know,
segregated housing,
and that's what that was.
What does that have to do with anything? Why? And then you have Don Bongino. I saw. What was it? Was it Good Morning America or whatever was it? This man does not want to have anything to do with it anymore. Him is sitting in his booth, talking to chat, doing his podcast. He lamented being with his family. Like, to a certain degree, I kind of felt bad for him, but at the same time, it's like, you can't back out now.
I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., you know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we love each other. It's been tough on the family. People ask me all the time, you know, do you like it? I say, no, I don't. But the president asked me to do this to like it. But, you know, I was at one of our facilities yesterday down in Winchester, and a woman who worked there, very nice, said, you know, I used to watch your show. I miss you. I said, you know, I miss me too. He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file.
The Epstein Files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that, and it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve.
Just months before he said,
or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge. Don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it. Period.
Right.
If I have it. If I have it.
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
So far.
Oh, everything we have so far is.
Have you guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
Did Jeffrey?
Now, it is very sad that something that might have been ongoing since the 90s only gets resolved now. right? Like almost 30 years later, do we actually get to probe what all of these shady dealings had to deal with once a single man, and of course all of his associates? But it is very deplorable that is happening, but I do appreciate the speed within which recent events have caused this to happen.
So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that, and it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them. And you're going to get the video of the cell, and you're going to see for yourself.
We do have video. It's not the greatest video in the world. I don't want to set expectations on fire. However, the video does show in that specific block that he goes in, made a phone call. You'll see 12 hours of guards going to basically check on him, come back. You'll see no one really comes out in that bay, in that area, than him. There's no one in there. When you combine that with the other evidence we will be releasing in the coming weeks, we're still finalizing some of the products. I think it's pretty clear.
Overnight, and of course they show this footage. The one that actually was released with the missing minute was not this. It wasn't. It was a completely different wing.
FBI and Justice Department releasing 11 hours of footage they say helps confirm notorious financier Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in his Manhattan jail cell in 2019. But perhaps the biggest bombshell, investigators say they found no incriminating client list of Epstein's, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, and no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If
Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
Tragedy. Also, surprisingly, for the man who is not exactly known for staying on topic, to want to actually refocus the conversation, you know? He who goes on a tangent on like 1 million things during a single discussion, yeah, sure. And also, given his reputation, I don't know the man for having the moral high ground. But clearly, this administration think that you're dumb. And even worse, they're laughing at you.
First, the Epstein Files were on Pam Body's desk, then they didn't exist, then they were written by the Democrats, now they're just plain old boring. You don't want to see what's in there.
It's pretty boring stuff. It's sorted, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible.
That reaction right there, that's just evil. This is how I described Prince Andrew before. The sheer pomposity of people who think themselves higher than thou and on too high of a pedestal to ever be touched.
I would say let them have it.
So there you hear it. Now, to some of you, the copium's going to set in. You're going to say, hey, he said the credible information, we can release it. We should release it, and we'll talk about that. But they also say in the same interview, we already released the credible information.
And the credible information's been given.
So if it's already been given, they're not going to give you more stuff. Now, funny enough, the guy next to Trump looking on and laughing as Trump says this is a big nothing burger. The only people who would deal in this kind of talk are fake news. That is Epstein's neighbor. That is Howard Lutnick, who has a house that was next to Epstein's place. You can see him laughing here. It's even been reported that Howard Lutnick's place actually literally touches Jeffrey Epstein's house. That's how close their two houses are together. That's the same guy laughing at a statement by the president that Jeffrey Epstein is boring and there's no reason to look into him. And if you do, you're a bad person.
Really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going.
I almost don't have words for this, to be calling it boring, to be talking about one of the world's largest predators of all time and trying to figure out who the powerful people are who are connected with this guy, especially when the former neighbor of said predator is standing there laughing as you say that everyone interested in this case is somehow fake news or a bad person. These are just completely insane, and anyone who's paying attention should not expect any further disclosures from the FBI, DOJ, despite the fact that Trump is sort of about facing on this and saying, well, we can give over the legitimate files, but as we just showed, the legitimate files they're claiming they've already put out. Here's Donald Trump saying that the Epstein Files, once again, are a hoax, but he also says that they can be released if credible.
And in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen, and I would say that, you know, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that.
Okay, so they made the files, let some time pass, did not use it against you, let you use it for your campaign so that you could boost your following trust. And now you no longer want to show what was in it? Like, I would imagine that if you wanted to actually know what was in the client list or whatever list it might be, that you might make use of the very lawyer who prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein. But no, you just fired her, along with the DOJ. Like, how come they do all of these things and the American people are just like staring?
With the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through, we've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
So that's...
Listen, here in Denmark, right, we've had politicians who have been embroiled in scandals about like using too much money for personal, not enrichment, like personal lavishes. Like we had one of our prime minister who had a scandal about wearing expensive suits. Dude had to resign his position for it. Like, I don't get it, okay? I don't get it. Once we see the straws in our administration to like 10% of what you are experiencing right now, we say, off with your head. Well, we're not doing it in the French way, but a person is likely to miss their spot in a political arena once they're embroiled in a scandal like that. We've had politicians who had involvement with underage girls that might have been consensual, yet still, because of that very thing, they were ousted from their party. So when I'm witnessing this, it just feels like a big old circus.
The second time now he's pushed it off on his attorney general to now handle, but I just don't think this is meaningful because, like I said, they've already said they've given us the credible information already. I think basically they're going to kill it from here. That's my guess, especially since we did get a word from Pam Bondi about this. When asked, she basically said we're just going to defer to the memo.
Would release credible files related to Mr. Epstein. Are you prepared to do that, and when would you do it?
Our memo speaks for itself, and we'll get back to you on anything else. I haven't seen all of his statements today.
So I think that shows pretty clearly that they're going to just continue barreling down this path while giving people a bone as far as making it seem like they might release something. This is a common smokescreen that we see where they will kind of bait people like, maybe we'll release something, maybe we'll release something, maybe, and then every like 12 months or something, they release something of complete non-importance. The problem is when people like this control the files, anything but a full release besides the CSAM and victims' names is not going to do it. You have to, the only way to do something like this is to release all of the files, except for those small categories. That's the only way to build back trust. But clearly that's not what's going to happen. And anyone who's paying the slightest bit of attention to what our leaders are actually saying, they are absolutely telling you they're not going to do it. They're all deferring to each other. Trump's deferring to Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi's deferring to the memo. And ultimately, no one is going to be held accountable. Now, there have been some political games played with this, with the Democrats trying to get the Epstein Files released. And this was actually blocked by people in Congress, which is just so mind-blowing to me that people would actually say no to releasing this, but they did.
Saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed say no? No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's not agreed
Chair, I'm
to.
kind of shocked by that. I will ask for a roll call.
5 yeas, 7 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to, and I think most of us believe what's appropriate will be released when it is time for the president to release it.
Well, Madam,
thank you.
So there you see it. We're just supposed to blindly trust that they're going to release it. Honestly, I have no faith in any of this. I think this is all political theater. Honestly, the people who are like, oh, look, it's just the Republicans. I mean, we could have released this a long time ago. To be honest, I don't trust any of these people until I see actual documents released. I believe this is all theater. I don't actually believe.
Yeah, there's a reason as to why the Democrats did not have that released while their administration was in power. Because they have their own constituents involved into this. Like I said before, it's not about a bipartisan issue, these things. Both parties are there to always uphold the status quo. And you can see that in the way that they handle things. And I'm not here to play the enlightened centrist role of saying that, oh, are you saying that the Democrats are equally as bad? No. Absolutely not. Just because one is worse does not mean that I'm just going to accept the bad one either.
I think they could have been doing this from the very beginning. And truth be told, we've seen our government protect Jeffrey Epstein for over a decade. This didn't start in 2019 when he died. This has been going on since the early 2000s from his first plea deal where he got a non-prosecution agreement. I mean, we have been protecting this guy. Powerful people have been protecting him for years upon years upon years, and it crosses party lines. So while, yeah, I guess it's cool that we're like making little votes like this and we get to see like people actually put the words out there, like I'm not gonna force the release because they'll tell us when they feel like it, so we can see the despicableness firsthand. I don't actually believe that politicians are gonna be the one to open this case wide open. I think it's going to be either a leaker, a hacker, somebody who is just like willing to YOLO on this that will actually meaningfully move this case forward. I haven't seen any evidence that there is political will besides dunking on your political.
Where's Snowden when we need him?
Besides dunking on your political opponent to actually do anything. Because that's all we've really seen so far is people hit each other with the old, like, you're involved with Epstein. And then you go, well, hey, can you release the files? And they always say, well, we'd sure love to, but actually, no, we can't. Now, that might sound a little doomer. I won't blame you if you get excited about the possible release of the Epstein files. But I just feel like we've been down this road before with people promising to, expose the deep state, expose the guys in power. In fact, ironically, that's the story of how we got here now.
In the first place.
Is the Trump administration was dunking on their political opponents for years, saying that, they're secretly involved with Epstein until it was time to release the files. And then now, it was made by the Democrats. So that's where we're going to leave it. They're literally laughing at us. They're calling it boring. They're saying nothing to see here. While both people on the screen were somehow involved or linked to Jeffrey Epstein, it's beyond belief, honestly. And this